So Taylor Damiani says that when we heal from a narcissistic family system, it's like this sense of once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like your eyes have now adjusted to a new light, and this is true, like not just in a family system, but like basically in any system or in any relationship system. So what's important to understand here is that you can't go back to the way it was before. And you see the pattern everywhere that it shows up, whether it's overfunctioning, giving, fixing, soothing, or avoiding conflict, or saying it's fine when it's not, shrinking your needs, doing all the emotional heavy lifting. All of this, the reason it's extra disorienting is because you don't have a new way yet. It's like the old way is ripped away, and now you have to figure out like construction basically, but quick, because you have to live in the world with people. So, and how do you show up and not make new toxic connections right away? So, she says it really could be heartbreaking to not see that in all the connections maybe that you've had, you've actually built, without mutual care and respect, but on survival. So as these dynamics shift and change, once the healing has started, and there was some honking. I hope it stops. So as the dynamics shift and change, once you start healing and stop the survival ways, and this could be anything from boundaries, taking a step back, or saying goodbye, even when it's the right thing, it could feel like a lot of grief. And as we learn to accept change, that I change, relationships change, others change, and see that as I'm growing, my relationships do too, and some people will rise, learning with me on the way, and they may love the fuller, more true versions of me, while others may only walk beside me for a season. It's okay too. Which are, the people who make it all worth it, the ones who actually are always rising and learning too, and love the more true, full version of us. So this is in and of itself the wisdom of grief, to be able to learn to accept change. And this in-between space of grieving and reevaluating and releasing is actually part of the process of what we would call not abandoning the self. So instead of avoiding accepting change, avoiding the shifts, avoiding the boundaries, we can actually start to choose ourselves. And because self-abandoning is also like self-avoidance. And another way that we don't abandon ourselves is when we're in a relationship, we don't, like, what are some examples? So there's this account on Instagram, NARDOSEDAILY, where it's like about waiting for marriage or waiting for someone who deserves it. Because Taylor gave some examples of like overgiving or overfunctioning. So some things would be your youth and your prime years. These are valuable. Your peace, the flexibility of your future decisions, like rather than committing to something with someone. Access to vulnerability, or the things like wife privileges, motherhood energy, to have children with someone, full sexual access or financial sacrifice, unlimited emotional access, or loyalty, like what people call ride or die, domestic comfort and blind trust, even you're exposing your reputation, and it's all about forgiveness that the person is getting from you, or emotional exclusivity. All of this should be something that's like we recognize, because in a relationship where like maybe we might have been like trying to do the emotional heavy lifting or shrinking ourselves because we were with a weak man. I'm thinking as a woman who's spiteful, disrespectful, abusive, cowardly, or manipulative. There's this account called Truly Love Dose on Instagram, and it's like he's not fighting his own demons. So we're not even helping him by giving all that of ourselves. We're avoiding ourselves, and he's avoiding himself. So he might be blaming instead of owning his choices. He plays the victim while being the aggressor. He unloads his anger on others and convinces himself he's never wrong. He uses loved ones as punching bags to avoid dealing with his own brokenness, and he does not have the strength, the discipline, and maturity to manage his own emotions. This is someone who's nowadays called online an avoidant. He belittles, attacks, lashes out with bitterness as his weapon, and cruelty becomes his language, and he craves control. Silence is his target, tears down their spirit, and crushes their self-worth. He clings to control and feels his manhood depends on it, but obviously that means he's not manly. So his emptiness actually prevents him from building anyone up, and it's a fake power from fear tactics, threats, and intimidation. Without the domination, he feels invisible, and he does not realize that real masculinity leads with respect, not fear, protects and doesn't destroy, takes responsibility for his actions and can admit when he's wrong, and he knows love is not control, strength is not intimidation, and a weak man, meanwhile, is trapped in his own cowardice. I would say most of NYPD really describes very weak men. We're not yet, and their cars say courtesy, professionalism, and respect. I watched a video of them arresting a lady because she fell asleep on the train. I watched a video of them throwing a lady into a jail cell. I mean, these are women. This is the people they're supposed to be protecting and serving, and they are violating women. It's anyone who's part of the system should be against that. We have to strip the anger and expose the pretenders. If they have so much social anxiety that they can't be outside without weapons, they should get therapy. I want to share, there's this, and talking about leadership, there's a organization called Impact Forward Leadership. And they say that, here I am talking about others. Really, we have to look inward. The toughest person to lead is ourselves. We judge others by actions and ourselves by intention. So we say, look at the outside of them versus my intentions matter. So now we have to start to recognize leadership ends when excuses begin. How am I being a leader in my life? So what I'm working on today, I'll give an example, is where there's somebody who I was very cutting off. I wanted the control and the power. So I decided to write them a letter from my inner child, very vulnerable. And knowing that I may not get an answer, they may be closed off, they may not be available, whatever it is. But in myself, I'm able to recognize that. And how else am I working on this is that I have somebody in my life who I feel cannot meet my needs and is very hurtful. And I had to cut off. So it's like working on it. And now I want to go into this idea of rage. I was exploring it and I thought, self-respect versus, violations. There's a lot about boundaries, like acceptable, unacceptable. Yes, no. I'll tolerate, I won't tolerate. And it does require motivation and action to have boundaries. And to earn self-respect, we have to actually be motivated to take actions we might have not taken before as we're accepting change. So we are changing. And rage is even a saying no. I say no to men having power they shouldn't have. And how do I show up by that? By not giving my power to those men. The way that I could check in with myself for intentions, why did I get so triggered from my expectations or preconceived notions? And in terms of my actions, that, let's say intentions, right? But then actions, let's say I was careless with speech, or I had clouded judgment, and that I masked my vulnerability, my powerlessness as a bluff to hide my insecurity or inadequacy. So instead, it's compassionate reframing from hostility to understanding and to take action, to do work for my goals for improvement. And I found this online, and I don't know the source. Someone sent it in a WhatsApp group, a women's WhatsApp group, and it's on sexism. It looked really academic literature, but I don't have a source. I still want to share. So it says, women inherently are powerful, good, strong, intelligent, and capable. Sexism is a systemic, institutionalized oppression of women based on this gender, just the fact that they're women. So it's for power and control by men, ultimately economic exploitation, with primary oppression message that women are not as good, human, and important as men. It's an all-pervasive norm in our society, and it's been reinforced even by laws, by media, and the lies have been internalized even by women, so mothers, sisters, daughters. Men are used as agents of oppression, and the effects include damaging women's bodies, self-esteem, sense of safety, and it hurts individuals, relationships, and it might be violent. Some ways to know if you have internalized sexism. You're scared to be alone. You feel unsafe or worthless without a man or a relationship. You settle for less. You have a lack of respect or even of self-respect or respecting other women. You don't trust our or female thinking, their thinking, our thinking. You feel powerless, victim, weak. You're afraid of challenges and you just wait for things to happen. You feel not good enough, especially around our bodies. You don't take charge and responsibility for our life. You often share your distress with men instead and feel unimportant without a clue what we want for ourselves. Not taking ourselves seriously, not seeing ourselves as leaders and putting others first and scared to speak up. Feeling competition with other women, gossiping, not trusting women. When the main goal is just to feel safe and comfortable. When you're taking care of men or even compromising around sex. When you feel shame around reproduction and not feeling control of our bodies or our sexual relationships. Feeling the only value is in the body, in sex. When there's a pretense. And healing is to emotionally discharge and release sexism. One way is to talk about it, taking charge of life around the hurt areas. Seek support from friends, relatives, therapists while doing this. I've been working on this, I could say. I want to share from kuntres hahispaalus. This is from the Mitteler rebbe on it's called kuntres hahispaalus. I learned it in a class called the chassidis, and there's a few levels. It's like a funnel. So as these things come in, so we can trust our healing. We can trust real love. We could trust our healing. We can trust getting in touch with ourselves, because there's this like surrounding light, right? And it's called or makif. This is the intellectual power. Then it comes into or panimi, which is the inner light. This is referring to our brain, which comes into the chayis, which is like the life. This refers to our heart. Then our koach, our strength. This is the liver. And then the koach prati, the specific power. This is the specific limb. We can start to bring that energy in and act in a different way and carry ourselves in a different way and even hold our teeth and our jaws and our bodies in different ways. And I think breath work and somatic work are very helpful. And this is also talked about in the 4 worlds and the 4 levels of the neshama. The 5 levels of the neshama, 2 and 1. So Atzilus is like the emanation, right? And that's the level of Yechida, the oneness, and the Chaya, the life. These are not personal. It's like one life, one love, and it comes into all of us. Life comes in, existence comes in. And then you have Bria, the world of like creation, which would be the neshama, the soul. This is a personal soul you have. Then Yetzira, which is the world of formation. Call this Ruach, personal spirit you have. And then Asiya, the world of action or change or physicality, which is Nefesh. This is your vitality, which even on a lower level would be considered your body. And we'll stop here. So change is possible, and we can heal, and we can heal together. Amen. Can you hear its own? Which means it is the will.